with the exception of the spiritual rewards that I got and my testimony growing and all that, absolutely the biggest takeaway and the best thing I got out of my mission was to know the Finnish people and to make friends that live in Finland still to this day. I can't think of anybody on the face of the planet that I admire or love more than them. And, I really do miss them. I, in all seriousness, have talked to my wife about, actually moving back to Finland, just to be around them again, if I ever had that opportunity in my career. A lot of the stereotypes you'll hear are true. They tend to be a little cold, and they tend to be a little bit reserved, but it's only up front. When you really get to know them, they just are incredible. I feel like the Finns were very hardworking, which was something that I don't think I was expecting. Now, obviously, not all of them are. You tend to find some lazy people as well, but the majority of people that I met were very hardworking. They were very good. They were intelligent. They were caring. And when you make a friend with a Finn, you're really like a friend, for forever. That's something we would kind of joke about. But the people that I know, that I had good relationships with, I'm still in contact with today. I still know them, and we still kind of joke about things. And I just loved getting to know them and getting to be around them. I already talked about the patriotic thing. I thought that was so cool, that they cared so much about their country, and they cared so much about the sacrifices that had been made beforehand for them. I don't know. I really did. I loved being around them. They're very respectful of the people that have gone before them. They're very respectful for the sacrifices that have been made, especially in getting their independence. On Christmas Eve, they actually go and light candles and put them on the grave sites, and they'll put them on the monuments too. There's war monuments in every city, even though they're not very, they're not super huge or anything. But if you go walk around on Christmas Eve, it's just incredible, because you go to a cemetery and there's literally 10,000 candles burning. That was really, really cool. It's a very special experience. Also, as far as things that I remember and admire about them, I remember in one of my areas, one of the guys in the bishopric, I guess it was the branch presidency, came and asked us to go home teaching with him. And I didn't know this about the guy at the time, but he was the only member in his family. His wife really didn't like the church very much. The missionaries weren't allowed to come over. But he was in the branch presidency, and he's a really, really good guy. He was older. He was probably 60 years old, but he was like, hey, is it okay if you come home teaching with me? And we were like, we don't really have a lot going on today. We could make that work. So we went with him, and we drove an hour and a half, like I said, out into the middle of nowhere. And we stopped at this small little farmhouse, just a million miles away from anything. And we got out and we went to go teach this guy a lesson. And this guy was a member, but he hadn't been to church for a really long time. And unfortunately, I can't remember the brother's name from the ward, but I had never seen anybody act the way he acted. He wasn't afraid. Sometimes I feel when I go to meet with a less active individual, I'm kind of afraid to talk about church things. And I have this mentality that, I just need to be outgoing and nice and make them want to come to church because they had fun. And he just got in there and just bore his soul to this individual about how the church would change his life, about how coming back would fix any problems that he had. He talked about how it was really hard that his wife wasn't a member, but that when he did the right things, it made it all okay. He offered to drive and pick this guy up for church on Sundays, which once again, we were well over an hour away, and he had early morning bishopric meetings. But he was like, you know what? I'll drive out here every Sunday. I'll pick you up. I'll get you anything you need. I'll help you in any way I can. And then he stood up in the middle of his lesson, walked over to this guy and gave him a big hug. And that was, even though I don't remember his name, like I've thought about that a lot, because that's the type of member that I want to be in the church. That's how I want to do my home teaching. That's how I want to do my callings. Because that guy, and I got transferred like right after that. I don't know if the guy we visited ever came back to church or not, but I know that he felt loved that night, and I know that had an impact on him. That was a pretty special experience that I've never forgotten.